and John. Thank you so much for joining me. Now, I think most of you out there are cryptocurrency enthusiasts, of which I am not, I will tell you. However, I do find it quite fascinating because I've been asking a few questions before we went on air, and it is a really fascinating subject. Now, Stuart here, Stuart's going to talk a little bit about taxation and funding and all that really boring stuff, but really, really important to a lot of you out there because there's some real nuggets in this that you might be interested in. And John is going to be a bit of an observer, I think. Are you, John?
Right.
Yeah, but you'll chip in where you can, and you're actually setting up your own business, and you have a real interest in Bitcoin and this cryptocurrency stuff as well.
Yeah.
So we might be able to link it all up a bit and get a real good natural conversation going. Forgive me if I ask really stupid questions, and to you lot out there, I might be asking some dumb questions that you know the answers to. But you know something, if I don't ask stupid questions, I'll stay stupid. So my mission in life is to try and get a little bit intelligent. So, okay, where do we start? Do we start with you sharing a little bit about the taxation funding or how it links into Bitcoin? Do you want to share a little bit about...
Yeah, basically I'll break down where I've come from as an individual. So my background is basically I've worked as a financial advisor for the past 12 odd years. I set up a company with my father 2 years ago, specialising in the specialist tax allowances that HMRC allow young entrepreneurs to utilise in creating a new solution that separates them from other companies and other people starting up, but also allows them access to basically get some of their money back from the HMRC for what they've invested in.
Right, so can we just talk about what that looks like? So you've got a young, enthusiastic, new business owner, right? And you're telling me the end result is that they might get some money out of the HMRC.
That's correct, yeah.
Some kind of allowance.
That's right.
Right, so can you just talk me through the steps between me being this new business owner and why I would qualify for that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you give me an example of one?
So I'll keep it in the Bitcoin markets because
Right.
that makes a bit more sense, or cryptocurrency, whichever one you want to call it. When you are involved in that digital space and you are coding, and I know you were getting a bit confused with coding earlier, basically coding is anybody who's getting involved in creating algorithms within a digital space to create a new solution. So to give you an idea, if someone's creating a bespoke gambling website using BitCurrency, there will be a lot of security that's involved in creating that website, also a lot of algorithms to make sure that there's
What's an algorithm, sorry?
So it's a mathematical algorithm that enables people, because obviously all gambling applications, they're all based on income and output, and obviously they don't want to put out more than they get in.
Right.
Obviously that's how
So it's like a formula, like a...
a formula, yeah. So anybody who's getting involved in actually creating those components, which a lot of geeky people do, and they're brilliant on one of them. I don't get involved in the coding, but I know a lot of people who do. It's those really niche little components to create a website that is unique, that they can actually gain a tax allowance.
Why would that be described as unique?
Because if you're creating a website that is specifically using bitcoins, for example, to play gambling,
yes,
then that in itself is unique. But every single person who does that, if they're creating their own version of it from scratch,
so it's personal to them. Even though the reason I asked that is because I'd imagine lots of people are doing that now. Yes. So it's not that unique, but it's unique to the individual.
Yeah, well, what you tend to find is although a lot of people are doing it, it's not readily available for somebody else to come into the market and do it.
Right.
So although there's big companies that are already doing it, they've been doing it for years and they're making an absolute ton of money. For the smaller person to come in, they can't readily available go and buy that solution.
Right.
So they have to create and design it themselves.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So it's that creation
of
that thing, for want of a better description, that then would qualify them for some kind of tax allowance.
Yeah, so on that side it would be under the Research and Development Tax Allowance Scheme by the HMRC.
Right, so research and development then, so that's under the umbrella of the HMRC, is that right?
Yeah, so basically what happened was the EU, they stated out in 2004 that they were bringing out a European-wide incentive for European companies to gain a tax allowance for creating bespoke solutions. Now, when it first started, it was very complicated and not a lot of people were claiming upon it. But nowadays, especially in the UK, it's a huge allowance that people should be claiming. And if they're not claiming, then they should be looking towards crafting how they make their business so that they can claim the maximal allowance on it.
Right, so that's a really good point.
Yeah.
So if I'm starting up my business, or I have one,
Yes.
and I suddenly hear about this, oh, I might be able to get some kind of allowance.
Yeah.
But then my stuff that I'm doing doesn't really qualify. There's still an opportunity for me to get into stuff that
Yes.
would qualify.
What it means is that you know that you, as a person and a business, you can start inputting money into your business, knowing that you are going to get an allowance back.
Well, this is it. So it would almost like encourage me to invest in being unique.
Yes.
And would that be fair?
That would be fair.
Would that be fair?
Yeah.
So you have this person that's doing that. At the moment, there's a lot of these people doing this.
Yes, that's right.
And they don't know about.
No, so what you
this
tend to find
allowance.
is a lot of people who are starting up companies,
Mhm.
or people who are even involved in companies and have been trading for many years. They don't realise what they do day to day is classed as research and development. And the reason for that is because the term research and development is very off-putting and throwing for people. So a lot of people think research and development is people in white coats developing something new, coming out and going, "Oh, Eureka, it's amazing," or I made a new thing. But it's not about that. It's actually about the development of a business. So, and what you tend to find is, not to say anything negative about accountants, because I do love accountants, and that's where most of my business comes from, is accountants are very, very good at creating your limited company, helping you get off the ground and doing your books for you to make sure that you're running in the most tax efficient way possible. But these allowances that the HMRC set out, such as research and development tax credits and other ones as well, they have to have a certain report written up with them that accountants don't really know, and the main reason for that is because accountants don't really know how a business works and what they do. So to get from, creating a can, for example, a company has gone, we're going to create a can, it needs to be a certain litrage, it needs to be made out of hemp or something like that. The accountant doesn't know how they do that.
Of course.
Because that's not their business. Their business, for the company is doing that. So, but it's been able to take that complex product and writing it up into a report that the HMRC understand, because they're not complicated people either, and then attributing a certain amount of percentage of your cost as a business into actually developing that solution.
So your accountant who doesn't know that, who is the person that does know it? I know you know it, but is there another person before you get to know it, or? No,
so what we tend to help accountants with it. So accountants can touch upon it, and they do touch upon it, but they tend to err on the side of caution, which the HMRC get generally quite annoyed with, because if a company should be claiming £100,000 back from the HMRC, and their accountant's only putting in a claim for £5,000, that means the accountant is now liable for the £95,000 that they haven't put in.
Right. So what does that mean to them?
So if you're a company, a limited company, and you have spent a lot of money developing a new solution, and your accountant's then turn around and go, okay, yes, we can do your R&D claim for you. It's going to be £5,000 back from the HMRC. And then someone else comes in and goes, oh, well, actually that should have been £100,000 back from the HMRC. You would be a little bit annoyed with your accountant.
Of course.
Yeah. Now, we can go back and help in that scenario. We can go back and look at what's been happening. We can uplift it up to the right amount of money.
Right.
But
Oh, right. So you can go and fix it.
We can go fix it, and we do get asked by the HMRC.
So if I'm somebody that for the last 5 years has, if you look at it and think, oh, you probably was 50 grand in that for you, Maria.
Yeah.
Last 5 years, not going forward. Yeah. I can put a claim in to try and get that back.
It's only in the past 2 years.
Past 2 years?
Yes, 2 open
Okay,
taxes.
so actually, could there be lots of people out there sitting there thinking, I wonder if that's me?
I would hope so.
And where does that person go? What do they do?
What you want to do is, if you're an individual or you're a company that's already established and you are making you've got a bespoke solution, so anything that I've said to you is actually run true, you are developing a new code, you're creating algorithms, you've got a bespoke solution that you've made, and you've probably spent quite a lot of time, a lot of your own time actually developing. What you need to do is, you need to make sure that your company is running in the most tax-efficient way possible. Now the first point of call is always talk to your accountant about it, and if they turn around to you and say, we don't think that you can claim, that might not be because you can't claim, it might just be that their understanding of the rules with the research and development tax credits isn't fully justified. So then the best thing to do is then search for people like us which is woodshires.co.uk. And what we'll do is we will get in touch with you. We'll run through the whole process with you. We won't charge you anything up until you actually get something back.
And then you take a percentage.
And then we take
of
a percentage of the success fee, basically. So if you get a chunk of money back, then we'll take a percentage of that.
And there must be loads of people out there that would qualify for this.
Well, it's any UK limited company.
Right, okay, so what's the
Whether they
criteria?
So any UK limited company,
Yeah,
doesn't matter if they're paying tax, as long as they will be paying tax at some point in the future, which is basically any limited company that starts up. Anybody who has at least one employee, which is normally a company director, it's the person who set up the limited company, they are eligible to make a claim for R&D tax relief. Now, it doesn't mean that they will get anything back, but it means that they are eligible to do it.
so if you have a new business person, and we will get to you in a
Yeah.
minute, John, God bless you, you're just sitting there, but we're all, it's fascinating,
No,
you're
it is
fascinated,
fascinating, yeah,
Stuart. I could listen to you forever, so I will keep probing you. But if you have a new business person, right, and they're setting up and they're doing all this stuff, I mean, my head's going, well, I want to do that, but I don't know if I'm unique.
Yeah.
When do I come to you? Do I get myself up and running for a while and then, or come to you, or do I don't know, is it just a relationship we start and you, I don't know, do you know where I'm going with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's one of them things that I could easily forget if I didn't think about it again.
No, absolutely, yeah. Now, what we like to say to people is, you can wait until the end of your first year when you're going to be submitting your accounts, and hopefully you're going to be paying some tax. If not, you're going to be getting a small rebate. You can come to us at that point and we will then talk, we'll do it all for you. But what I like to say to people is, just come and talk to us ASAP about it, because it might be that we can tell you, look, and it might help you to put a little bit more risk into your business, knowing that you're going to get a percentage of it back, as long as it's spent correctly, basically, the money that you are spending in developing your business in the first year.
Yes.
So we have something called an incubator, which basically means that even if somebody's thinking of starting a company, we will talk to them, even if it's on their own, because we know that in the first year, which is always the most difficult year, that they're going to be probably expending more money out than they're going to be getting back in.
Yes.
We want to make sure that they're doing it in the most tax efficient way possible, and they're getting the biggest relief at the end of the year as possible, so that their tax bill at the end of the year, even if they're not paying tax and even if they don't pay tax at the end of the year, they can still cash this relief in and get some money back from HMRC.
Right.
Yes.
So you don't necessarily have to pay the bill or even have one?
No. So one of the biggest claims that we do is actually they get £500,000 back from the HMRC every year. They've never paid corporation tax.
My goodness.
And they're actually a loss-making company.
Right.
If they were profit-making, it's because they're part of a big group structure. But
sure.
They've set up that business specifically to run in a loss because it's most tax efficient for them. But if they were profit-making, they'd be looking to get £700,000 to £800,000 back from the HMRC.
Right, that's brilliant for the big guy.
It is, yeah, but for the individual it works exactly the same way.
Right, so for the small business owner it works the same way. And have you had any success with small business owners?
Yeah, we've done one guy actually who is on his own. He does security software for the banks. He's based down in London. He pays himself a very small wage with dividends on top. Dividends you can't claim from, but small wage you can. And what he basically does is the banks phone him up and they ask him to basically stress test the security systems that they have in their systems, such as barcodes and stuff. Although he's on his own, he's very, very good. Now, he'd only been trading 1 year and we got him £5,000 back from the HMRC.
Excellent.
And all he's then gone and done with that money is then gone and employed somebody part-time to work for them. So, although, yes, the money is coming out of the HMRC and everyone sees, it's brilliant relief to get back, but really, as a business, you're just going to put it straight back into your business anyway. So the HMRC are getting their tax back. Either way, but obviously it allows him to grow. So in his second year now, his claim's going to be about £20,000 because now he knows that he can expend more effectively as a business to get it back.
I will want to link it into the cryptocurrency stuff because that's what most people watching this now are interested in. But just before we do move on to that, this is okay. This research and development is okay for everybody. You don't have to be an online sort of business person. It could be somebody with a little shop, and if they were providing something that was unique. So could you? I don't know if I'm going to put you on the spot here, but if somebody has a shop now, and they're just, I don't know, what could they? A dress shop, a clothes shop. That's not that unique, and they just.
If they were making the clothes. Then probably yes. Right. We have done a claim for a fashion house in London.
Oh right.
And what they do is they create prototype and concept garment
Right.
for people like Next to come in and buy.
Right.
So they'll create one, like a jacket, and they'll put it on a peg. Next will come in, the buyers from Next will come in and go, we like that one, we want a million of them.
Yes.
Now, they have to then take that design that they've made, that bespoke one, and then they have to create it into a manufacturing process.
Right.
They can claim because they created something unique, although it's a jacket, and jacket's been around forever.
Yeah.
The jacket that they produce is different.
Right.
And
Who makes that decision that it's unique?
It's within the HMRC guidelines as to what research and development is within a business.
Ah, right. And sorry, John, go
I
on.
was just going to check. So just if I've got this right, so basically, if somebody's making the clothes and they're unique, if they're just selling somebody else's clothes, they haven't got.
No, so if you're a reseller, you can't do anything. No.
But if you're making something unique,
Yes.
and you're saying then that costs you to make it.
Yeah.
And that your business hinges on the success then of that, then that's unique. And
Yeah.
therefore that can be.
That's right, that's correct, yeah. So the best analogy that we use is we call it money for new rope rather than money for old rope. Because rope is rope.
Right.
It's been around for thousands of years.
That's a really
but the rope of today
Yeah.
is very different to the rope 10,000 years ago.
Yes.
It's got different strengths, different colours, different fabrics, different tensile strength, all these bits and pieces. And it's all those little incremental changes over time
Yes.
to now that would be classed as R&D.
Yeah.
So although the product's exactly the same as it used to be,
Mhm.
it's actually different.
Right. So say for someone like me who loves life coaching.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I mean, well, I say they're 10 a penny. They're not really in this country yet. It's massive in America, and it's sort of a growing concern here. But if I was to do life coaching, but I added a few bells and whistles on that no other one is doing, so it's a service, but I have something else to add to that. For example, I have a program that somebody can use themselves to self-coach.
Yes.
And I don't think anybody else has got the same one. Well, they won't, because it's me that's done it. Nobody else has done it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Would that sort of fit in that kind of would that kind of
Yes,
fit in
it would,
that?
yeah, and we're actually doing one that's very similar at the moment. So we're talking to a web developer and a doctor.
Right.
Now the doctor, he's basically retired, but he's basically taken all of his studies over the years and he's created his own. He's created an Excel spreadsheet of diagnosis and illness and treatments and all these bits and pieces. And he's created a spreadsheet. Now the web developers basically taken all that information. They've created a website that enables people to type in their problem and it comes out with diagnosis and all these bits and pieces.
That's fantastic.
So what they've done is they've taken something that he's created himself very simply,
Yes.
and then they've created a program which works with it, and then with that program they've created a front-end website which is very simple, very nice and easy for people to use, and to get the two to talk to each other,
Yeah.
because that's very all unique as well.
Yeah.
That is where the R&D is. So it wouldn't be in actually creating the website itself, because that's readily available, it's a picture, so you can't really claim on that, but in terms of actually getting it to talk to a back office system, you would be able to make a claim. So in terms of Bitcoin, if somebody's involved in Bitcoin currency and they're creating a website that has some kind of involvement with Bitcoin, it's actually taking one existing system or one external system and then creating something new on the front that enables the two to talk together perfectly, which a lot of coders get involved in, a lot of web developers and bits and pieces.
Yeah.
That is where the R&D would actually sit, really. Even if somebody else is paying you to do it, it doesn't matter. It's actually you as a company that's incurring the cost in actually creating that bespoke solution.
Fantastic. So moving on to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. So, what can I ask you about that? So we will have people that are probably setting up new businesses and are very much into the Bitcoin, and I'd imagine, would this be right, John? You might be able to help me out here. Would want to receive money from customers via Bitcoin. Would that be right?
People could pay for any service with Bitcoin, yeah.
Right.
And from what you've said, if you come up with something that there's lots and lots of services for the provider ready for paying pounds and pence, but you develop a way of paying for it in Bitcoin instead, and that's new, that would then qualify.
That would be correct.
For what you're talking about.
Because I'd imagine there's more, as you put it, bespoke or unique developing in those people that are in the Bitcoin world and the crypto technology. Would that be right? Because it's not massive out there as yet. Would that make sense?
No, I mean it's a growing thing.
Yes.
So a lot of these people who are involved in it are generally very, very smart people anyway.
Exactly.
So they know that.
That's why I'm not involved.
it's why I'm not involved yet. But I'm sure at some point we will all be more keen towards that. I know people at PayPal and stuff are starting to look a little bit more closely towards it
Yeah.
as a universal currency for the whole world, rather than using different exchange rates and all these bits and pieces. Being able to freely trade goods and services using Bitcoin, which has no attributed like kind of national value to it, but as a whole it does. That those people are interested in it because they know that they can actually create a service online for people to use that enables them to get the maximum potential profit out of it, because everybody's kind of sharing the whole pot. If that makes sense.
Sharing the whole pot, yeah. So John, what are your thoughts on that then? So Bitcoin, what are you getting involved in?
Well, I'm a musician. I've been setting up and running studios as a hobby really for the last 15 years or so, with varying degrees of success. But I've got a studio now. I'm looking to turn into a business. But what I'm enthusiastic about is giving the musician ownership back of what they've created. So at the moment, you'll go to a studio and then you'll be given your tracks on some sort of either electronically or on a USB drive or something like that. And then it's down to you to do all the work of uploading it everywhere, making it work. If you wanted to play it on your website, you'll have to outsource it to something like SoundCloud or put it on YouTube or anything like that. And then you're on their servers and you don't own it. If YouTube decide that that's quite successful now, we want to use that and people are going to have to pay advertising, well, YouTube get the majority of the income from that. If you actually want to sell it, and unless you've got a record contract, which is not a kettle of fish in itself, and those are harder and harder to come by, it would work really. You've got to input 3 or 4 middlemen between you and selling your thing. You'll get 30 or 40% back of what it sold for, at most, depending on the service.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you want your track that you've made in the studio and you're really pleased with it, and people just want to be able to buy it on iTunes or stream it on Spotify, by the time everybody else has taken their chunk, you get an absolute pittance compared to what, years ago, if you had a CD you'd sell, then okay, you had to pay for the CD to be made, but then you've got the money being sold. You still win the marketing battle, but the actual your product is yours to sell, and that's not the case now. There's so many middlemen. There's so many. The control has gone, and then that's starting to affect the actual music, because the people who are going to sell it and want to make the middlemen want to make the money, which again, to a certain extent, was always true to an extent, but it's just diluted and.
More of a numbers game.
It is. And
It's losing the heart.
The base problem is that the music itself, if it's a digital file, it's infinitely copyable, and therefore it has no intrinsic value. Because I can't remember who it was. It might have been Taylor Swift, but that might be wrong. Somebody won a big court battle about copyright. So somebody just made a Raspberry Pi, programmed it to download and copy endlessly, and then it put them on this massive hard drive, and then when the hard drive ran out of space, just to overwrite it again, and overwrite it again, and overwrite it again, just to prove the point. What you're telling people is worth something is worth nothing. I've got 100,000 copies of it on this hard drive, and I've downloaded them illegally for free, and they're all there. Why is what value has what you're selling got if I can put 100,000 of them on this hard drive?
Yeah.
And that was a very good point. I'm not quite sure what happened to the end of it, but I can't remember the story. But
so what is it you want to do then? What's your dream then to overcome that?
Well, first of all, is to actually get the music right. So get musicians playing music together in the same space at the same time. Well, which is
physical bodies in the same place,
which is a bit of a lost art, in my opinion. And then once you've got an end product that the person can then, or by whatever technological means, something that they own and they can sell, and so there needs to have the ability to have a finite number. Now, obviously, people can do illegal copies, but people ever since the invention of the tape recorder do illegal copies of stuff, and people don't bother so much now because it's so easy to get all the official channels. So it's a balance. It's got to be one and kept in proportion. But for people to own, then if you've got a file, or not, it wouldn't be a file. It would be a bit more complex than that. But you've got a thing, and you've got a key. It means you can listen to that track. You will then have the ability to then sell it because it's still got value. And once you've sold it, then somebody else has got the key. And in the sale process, the key changes, so your key doesn't work anymore, their key does. Therefore, they can listen to it, you can't. Now, you can change your mind and go and buy another copy, then you'll get a new key that works. But only the ones with active working keys work.
Right,
So is that what you want?
So that's what that's how the mechanism by which it will work. But what I really want is just, the other thing that bugs me is the lack of any permanence in anything. So people, if someone's still got their 1973 Pink Floyd album on a gatefold vinyl, it's a beautiful thing and they've still got it. And it was worth something then and it's still worth something now. And if you want to go, you can buy one at quite some considerable expense now because they're unique. There's only a certain number of them.
So isn't there anything?
If you're somebody from 3 years ago who had a great hit on iTunes, you haven't got anything that
don't have anything
to sell. 95% of them, once all them phones have died, once Apple has gone and decided to be something else, it could evaporate entirely. You could have no.
But isn't that the way with everything because of the digital
yes,
world?
Yes, and there's a lack of permanence of everything.
Yeah.
There was a story I heard. Now you have to forgive me if I don't get all the details right here. There was a coach crash somewhere in the outback of America, and then a local newspaper, years after it happened, went and found all the people who had been affected. It was quite a serious accident. Quite a few people died, and this little community was not for six. And then I think it was in the mid-90s, there was a local newspaper publication, and they went back and they remembered this and they resurrected this event that pretty much in the public had been forgotten. And they went back and they talked to all the survivors and the families of those who'd been lost, and then they documented it all, and they put it in the newspaper, but they put it online, and they actually had far more online than they had in the newspaper. And it
far
was
more
far more detail and
online than in the newspaper.
And so there was this online archive that was preserved, and it was like the accident happened again, and it did the community such good because these people had been grieving for so long and nobody else cared because it was a small community. They were given another, and then about 3 or 4 years after that had happened, the newspaper was bought by another corporation, the website disappeared, and it was like the couch crash happened again, because this invaluable thing that had been created, all the hours of time that the journalists had put in, all the documentation, all the photographs, everything else had been resurrected, put it back online,
and it was wiped.
Sold, wiped, gone. And there's just no permanence to it. And to the community, it was like the coach crash had happened again. It caused such an impact because suddenly all of that was valued and documented evaporated a second time, and there was, whatever it was, everything was so temporary, the way it was all built on.
Yeah.
But once it had gone, it had gone.
And then I get where you're going with this, and I'm with you. But do you think it could be a generation thing? Will the younger people of today have that same concern about permanence because they're not being weaned on that?
Possibly, but I think it's a
but even to introduce it back to them would be a good thing.
That's right, because it's just a human thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Things are important to you.
Of course.
And they're always important to you. That's just how people are built.
Yes.
And so, it's a whole. The lack of any permanence, the lack of any value, has meant the music isn't important to anybody because it's not a thing that anybody can value.
Yes.
Whereas it should be.
Yeah.
You look back the previous 50 years before all this, everything went digital, and music was incredibly important to all sorts of people in all sorts of ways.
Of course, and even when media did start sort of whenever 20s, 30s, 40s, we know that more so in the 50s perhaps, we know those key characters, the Elvis, the Beatles, the whatever. We are in danger of anybody coming up being pretty special at the moment won't be remembered.
Exactly.
They won't be remembered. They're the non-permanent So we're even talking about making human
because
beings.
It's been made such into a product.
Yes.
Not into.
But not just the product, the human being. If it can do it on the human beings, it's going to do it on these things that we make. But just for the sake of the people watching us, and they're very digitally minded, I would imagine. Mm-hmm. How do you? I suppose the great question is, how do you bring that into such a fast-moving digital world? Because you sound to me like you're in but you've got a studio. I mean, to me, even that having a studio is a little bit above and beyond. Do you know what I mean? Because that's all a bit. You're going to have things in it, machines and things, and it's all too much for me. I mean,
it's all old clunky stuff.
but it's still stuff that does stuff that you don't do.
Yes.
You know, it's programmed, whatever. So how do you bring that into? How do the two make love? The mad digital world and this sort of idea of permanence.
Well, I mean, are you talking practically now in the shortish to medium term, or in the grand scheme of things where we are in 10, 15 years' time, longer?
I suppose it's very good to talk the now, because that's where we're at.
So, I mean, at the moment, the problem that we've got is that everybody listens to music in the same way. Everybody accepts that that's what music is. So everybody just uses their phone to download, stream, whatever. And then what comes out of the earphones, whatever quality or whatever, that's what it is. Now, the difference between Apple Music now and just a CD, you're actually getting about 10 times more information off of a CD to play the same song as you are from if you were streaming it on Apple Music. It's 5 to 10 times more data.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've been into a nightclub recently, or if you remember going into a nightclub 15, 20 years ago.
I've got a small child now. That finished.
But if you go into a nightclub now, you can actually have a slightly shouty conversation with people. Whereas 20 years ago, you had to literally go and shout that far from their ear to be heard. It's not any quieter.
Aren't those people all claiming something though now?
Well, whatever the implications are, it just illustrates the point that the music was so much thicker and richer then, because there was so much more information with that sound being carried in that sound, hitting your brain. You couldn't understand if somebody was trying to shout at you from here. You had no hope. Whereas now you can actually have a shouty conversation about this distance over the music in a nightclub and still be heard. Now a lot of people argue it's a good thing, because you can still, from a business point of view, people can still go there and communicate. But from the music point of view, well, where's that 90% of the information gone that meant that you couldn't do that before and you can now? So it's like everybody's having very lightweight frothy instead of anything with any substance.
Yeah.
And that's what music is. And then what's been happened is all of the old stuff has been reprocessed in this very light and frothy way. So it sounds like the same song, but the difference between the original recording or an old, even just an old vinyl record of the same. Now, I don't want to get into the vinyl versus download debate, because that's pretty much a red herring. That's not the point.
Yeah. And I know we're kind of going off track, but it's just really interesting. But it's almost like the better the digital, the more, the more technical and more digital it is, the less the energy.
Yes.
The energy is lower, and therefore the connection. Because I remember
going
into.
It takes less effort now.
Yeah, because I remember going into bars and you'd be there, and then you go, ooh, this one. But no, I mean, I'm not going to go and frequent them as often as I used to, but I don't even notice. I don't think I have a conversation about the tune.
That's a symptom of a lot of things.
And that's
part of it is that I'm not the same age as my 20-year-old son.
And I think that's why I get you. Yeah.
A lot of stuff that is, in inverted commas, very heavy.
Yeah.
And I listen to it and I get frustrated by how clean the production is, because it sounds like everything's squeaky clean.
It's polished.
They're trying to be as aggressive and shouty and horrible as possible, but everything's so super clean that it's put together the way a pop record was next to the 90s. It's the same thing, but just with slightly different selection sounds.
Yeah, I have to be careful now, because I do like this topic, but this is just about me now.
So
we're going off topic, but it's interesting. It might be a different audience. I don't know.
So to go back to where the technology comes in, the technology, I'm hoping, will provide a platform for the music to go back the other way, for it to be what you actually listen to.
Right.
It will change what you actually listen to in the long term. eventually people, the record companies have resold the same stuff. First on vinyl, then on cassette, then on CD, then on download. Then if you were really nuts, you could do it on slightly higher quality download. So that's five cracks at the whip that record companies have all the old stuff.
Mhm.
So they're going to have to find a reason why what we listen to now isn't any good and you want a better one.
Mm.
So that means actually better equipment in your hand and your ears.
Yeah.
In your, and then that will then show up the difference between what people listen to now and what we might listen to in the future.
And is that what you're,
So
are you working on that? Is that what your project is? Well, that's where it starts.
And again, that's, we don't have the power, the big corporations have the power to do that. It's very difficult to.
So it's the quality that's your main concern?
No, because you can get reduced to that. It's the symptoms of the lack of quality.
Right.
It's the symptoms that's what that causes. It's the fact that everybody thinks that if they've got a laptop then they've got a recording studio. Because they don't understand what the rest
and
of
they just have a job.
It wasn't the equipment that made it's not the that's what I've learned from doing this for 15 years. The equipment is not what makes the space that makes the quality. It's
I know some of the best bands have come out of garages and
exactly
banging second-hand drum kits and
that's
loads of bits and pieces.
That's right. And so what it is that spark between the musicians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But surely that's more to do with mass psychology than.
Well,
obviously the corporate's trying to make money.
Yes.
They're trying to ilk as many penny out as they can.
And so anything, the cheaper it is to produce.
But then the small people kind of get lost in it.
Yeah.
So basically, you want to create a route for these smaller individuals to be able to.
Yeah, probably.
Get more known. But with
I don't know. What I tend to do is enable things to happen. So people around me do something I find exciting, I'll do everything I can, usually on a technical level, to enable it to become reality, whatever it is. And so, that's what I do. So if I can provide some sort of technical solution to people who just love music and they love going down and listening to people who can play music properly, getting that into people's hands, into people's ears, or whatever they've got, that doesn't solve the marketing problem because you've still got to sell it to people, you've still got to make it available to people.
Yeah.
So I'm only half the equation here. I could be doing something beautiful that 99% of the world haven't heard of, and so what?
But that's every market. That's every. We all have to work out how to market.
So the things I think about and the things and the technologies that I'm thinking about, including the Bitcoin and that sort of thing, because of what you can build on top of it, because of what you can, the fact that you can have the breakthrough to me is the fact that there is one unique thing that one person can own, and is uncopyable and indisputable ownership, even if all that is at the moment is a Bitcoin address with some value attached to it.
Yeah.
The fact that there is one unique one of those that only one person can have, and nobody else can have it. That's never happened before. Everything digital has always been infinitely copyable.
Yeah, but
And people go to vast expense to put.
So what's an example of that? What do you mean? Like the downloads, you mean?
Well, anything at all, any software at all, anything written in code, anything in a computer, until Bitcoin came along, it could be copied. So you can just do another one.
So what's the link with Bitcoin then? That you
But
can't
Bitcoin,
copy it?
you can't copy a Bitcoin because it's classed as one.
Because all you do is you get access to the same Bitcoin.
Right,
So
what does that mean for...
So if you own a Bitcoin, you have the private key to that Bitcoin. Now you can copy the private key, and you could have 100 people all with access to the same Bitcoin, but it's only the same one Bitcoin. If one person moves it, it gets a new address, and therefore a new private key to move it. And then all them people with that old key, they can't move it anymore. There's only one of them. So if you go and buy something and spend a Bitcoin, it doesn't matter if 1,000 other people theoretically have access to that same Bitcoin. They can't spend it again because you spent it.
Because of my unique...
Because of your unique thing. That's what's new. So there's only one of that Bitcoin.
But nobody can spend my pound that I have. Am I losing...
Well, yeah, that's
what he's basically saying is when just on the conventional methods of downloading, in, once you've got it on your computer, effectively you can make hundreds of thousands of copies
Right.
of that same record.
Right.
But with a Bitcoin, because it's effectively, Bitcoin's probably not the best term to be used for it. If you've actually used this electronic currency to own something, such as a song,
Right.
there's only one.
There's only one. Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so at the moment that only works for
So
the
that's
currency.
this is your
That only
interesting
works
bit.
for, so at the moment that only works for the currency. Bitcoin, the Bitcoin blockchain only does Bitcoin. That's what it does now. People are building things on top of it, but the underlying layer is just Bitcoin.
So that works for your idea.
But then for what I want to be able to do is, I think we mentioned before we came on air about this tokenly company. What they're doing is they're building tokens that, so let's say you had a dress shop as we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Well, you could sell a token for Bitcoin, or you could even sell it for pounds and pence. And that token means that you'll make somebody a dress. Now the person who you sold it to could then sell it to somebody else. They could give it away. They could, they could put the key to it in a bottle in the middle of the ocean. Somebody else could pick it up, and somebody a million miles away. But that token, when it's presented to you, you can verify that that's the only one, and it's the genuine article that means that you will then make them a dress. So you could have somebody totally but it's unforgeable. So, whereas if you could do a gift token, that's a physical piece of paper or card, now somebody, if they wanted to enough, and it was worth enough to them, they could go and forge that and make another one. And then you could have one person one week come in with a forgery and say, can you make me a dress? And so you've got to make them the dress, and then next week somebody else comes in with the original, and you think, oh, I already made that dress. Well, what do you do then? You've got a problem, because the person before, with a forgery, and you didn't notice, has already made. But the point about having a digital token is that you can sell it to one person, and then somebody totally different comes in with your token, and you can verify 100% that's the only one that, you only sold one dressmaking thing, that's the one, so you'll make that person a dress. No one's going to come in with that token again, because once it's been spent, and you keep it and it's gone.
Right. Right.
So, if that analogy gives you an idea in the real world, for a thing, because when you talk about music, you then have to do all sorts of other things as well, because it's electronic in the first place. But if you were there is a company and they're selling, basically, if you like proper ground coffee, they'll do coffee beans, and you can buy tokens for coffee beans in Bitcoin, or you can spend dollars because it's an American company and buy these tokens, and then it means that the company gets the value now. So it's exactly the same as the way if you bought a gift token for a shop works.
Right.
But anybody in the world can then log on, use their token, fill in their name and address, he'll send out the coffee beans to whoever it is.
Right.
And the way the system
And they can
works,
only use it
because
for
it's built,
coffee beans.
they can only
Got
use
you.
it for because that's what his token is.
Mhm.
Anybody can make any sort of
So what's the
token.
benefit then to having that?
Mechanically it works in the same way as a gift token. So if you want to sell,
So that's
give
all
somebody,
you can. That means
so
I'm
if
always
you-
going to
if you
sell
think
this.
about a
Yes.
WH Smith voucher,
Yeah.
well that means that you have to find a branch of WH Smith, but you can then also buy a book token,
Yeah.
and then the publishers all got together
Yeah.
with a book token
Yeah.
together, so then you can just buy a book.
So once you've bought my vouchers, I've got the money. I've got the. I've
That's
got
right.
the.
But
Yeah.
if you buy the voucher, a WH Smith voucher in WH Smith, WH Smith have got the actual pounds and pence, or £10. You've got the voucher. You can give that voucher to somebody else. They can then come and redeem
Yeah.
it for £10 worth of goods in WH Smith.
Yes.
So you could have it at that level.
Yeah. I like that.
But
level.
it's just it's the unforgeability of it, and because that's provable in the blockchain.
And it's also a bit more of a
because
secure sale.
That's right, and,
Yeah.
and also the way you can track it is via blockchain technology. So the blockchain. So if there was a dispute, you can then mathematically trace back all of the transactions to where it was sold when you originally had it, and you can follow that on the blockchain.
Yeah.
Until you get to, oh yes, I sold that bloke that token on that day. That makes sense. This must be valid. Therefore, I want it.
Yeah.
Likewise, if you say, oh, I want it that, he can go, hang on a minute. I bought this from this bloke on this occasion, and he bought it from me bloke on that occasion, and he bought it from you, and he could prove. So it works both ways, you see. So it becomes
But it shouldn't really have to go down that route.
No,
it
it
should just do
shouldn't
it
do. But
smoothly.
you have to be able to do that
Yeah,
in order for nobody to bother, because everybody then trusts it.
trust it. Yeah.
You see, it's all about trust. What it does is it's a trustless system. So you don't need to trust the person who's coming in with your token, that they've got it from somewhere reputable. You can tell from the token because you trust the token, not the person.
Right, that makes sense. Yeah. And so, how does that link in then with what from your perspective then, helping people that are sort of they want these tokens, they want to work on Bitcoin for their businesses.
Yeah.
What advantage is that to them through the taxation and funding?
It's less about the actual Bitcoin itself, more about what they're going to be doing with it. So
because that becomes quite unique.
Yeah. So what solution, what product, what not even tangible, but what service they're going to be offering. So somebody's obviously using Bitcoin to pay for a service or a product or something. It's going to be somewhere and it's going to be for something. So that something and somewhere is where the tax allowance would be for an individual. So somebody's thinking of creating a website that uses Bitcoins, and it's all about the website itself and what is the website for. So is the website going to be selling products? Are they going to be designing things? Is it going to be selling basically IP? It could be an example. It could be 3D printers. People could just be using Bitcoins to buy basically designed for things that enables them to print 3D. It could be all those different things, but the actual bespoke part of it is the website itself and how it actually works for the company, and also the extra plugins as well. So to give you an example, if you create a website that sells mugs and it's using Bitcoin purely only to as its internal currency, that computer will have to talk to I keep saying Bitcoin or crypto coin or whichever one you want to call it. It needs to talk to a system to be able to work with the program that they've created on the website itself, so that you can actually start trading goods.
Yeah.
And then also talk to another system, say if it's actually creating something bespoke, so somebody's paid a Bitcoin for them to design a really bespoke cup for them, I know with a picture on, or if it glows a certain heat or anything like that, then obviously it needs to talk to another system to actually go off and make it.
Yeah.
So it's all about that interaction between somebody using currency, somebody creating a website, and then also that order going off and actually something being crafted and sent out to somebody. There's a whole chain there of things that can be claimed upon, because they'll all be unique. You won't be able to just go out and readily buy it off a shelf. Somebody will have to actually take the time, invest money in actually creating that solution.
So from somebody that doesn't know an awful lot about this sort of stuff, and people watching us and yourselves, you know a fair bit about a Bitcoin, what is it about that cryptocurrency that could be attractive to take you to something bespoke that would be different and be ahead of the game?
I think because it's so inherently new as a concept, anybody who is involved in it knows that they have to create something that is equally unique to use it.
This is it.
Yeah.
So it's
so
almost like new ideas.
If someone just create a normal website that he's selling garments for £10 a pop, then that's just normal trading website, not a lot there. But if somebody's actually going, okay, I'm not going to go down the conventional currency route, I'm actually going to go down Bitcoin and electronic currency route instead, then that is inherently unique and new, and whatever they're going to be adding on top to utilise that type of currency is all going to be bespoke and new as well, because it is very, very new.
It's very, very new, but it's my understanding is that in X amount of years' time it's going to be like Facebook or internet or whatever, that it isn't so new.
Yes.
So now is the time for people to start being a bit more innovative and doing stuff with it and coming out with creative ideas for websites, knowing also that they can get this.
They can get something back.
Back for it. So put it this way: if I want to just go and have a new idea, I might as well be doing it down the Bitcoin route and being a bit sexier with the technology than just sort of thinking, well, I'll just do what everyone else is doing and you can pay Visa, debit card, blah blah blah. I don't know. Is there something in that?
Yeah, there is.
Is there something in that?
Yeah, I think Bitcoin obviously gives you an inherent value or tangible asset when you're actually using each thing, rather than just being like just a very simple transaction and then something sent to you. Bitcoin obviously
Because
gives
you
you
can program it, you can I'm just leaving it on pause.
We're leaving you to it.
You can, because you can program it, it can be more complex than just you pay for this and I send you that. You can actually program it to say, well, if you pay, you can say, the machine can tell by clever thing how you pay it, what it is it's going to give out. So there you've got instantly a difference between conventional payment systems and the Bitcoin, because actually what the computer can do behind the scenes is set one of 20 different Bitcoin addresses, and depending on which one gets paid, the computer automatically knows without having to specify anything else what it is that you're doing and the variations therein.
Yeah.
And therefore you can actually build something that's unique there.
Yeah.
Just by how you pay for it, that tells the machine without having to get any human intervention or any other programming involved what it is you want to buy or what it is you want to achieve.
So some like you sound quite bought into Bitcoin, and would that be right?
Do you mean physically or just?
No, just the concept, the idea.
Well, I mean the technologies. The technology I find exciting. The way it is sort of going on its own sort of thing outside of any centralised control.
So does it have kind of would it, I can't think of the words, push people to be more creative with what they're doing? If you're already quite involved in the, I mean, there are people creating their own Bitcoin, aren't there? That's what's happening. So isn't that like a brand? Could you kind of have your Bitcoin
you can,
and then attach it to your business, so that it's almost becomes linked?
What a lot of people tried that, and there are over 1,000 other what they call them as altcoins, alternative coins. Because basically people have forked, so they've taken the code that does Bitcoin, changed it a bit, and then made their own coin. But the problem with, I mean, and it depends on what you're trying to use it for. If you're trying to do something that people are actually going to trade as value, it's not so good, because there's an awful lot more people out there using Bitcoin than there are anything else. You know, it's just got far more people behind it, and therefore the associated computing power, technology, brain power to make it secure and everything else behind it than your little coin would have.
Right.
So as a proper store, as trade of value, it's probably not so good. But if you want to do something else, then it can have great advantages. So if you want to, basically it's another way of making a token. So you could make, I think somebody's mentioned before somewhere else about Justin Bieber coins. If somebody did,
well, that's where my head was going. Yeah.
You know, that's not going to be any value to me or you.
No, but it would be to someone.
But somebody who really likes it, it's going to be really valuable. They're going to, oh great, I can actually, and then they can trade things that, you can only trade Justin Bieber merchandise in it, but everybody can do it, so it has its own value to the right market, to the right sort of
it's like
people.
Pogs back in the day, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right,
You need Pog.
Yeah. So you're not going to get another Bitcoin at the moment, unless something goes wrong with it or it breaks somehow. But as far as we go, you're not going to get another one that's going to do the same thing, because there's no point having two. You might as well go to where the one is where everybody else agrees with it already.
Everybody knows
It's
it
like
already.
going into a shop and trying to spend a different currency. People will look at you like you're nuts, because it's the commonly agreed thing. But as we said, Pogs to the right people go away.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I suppose we probably want to start wrapping this up now. So in summary then, if you are a small business owner or any type of business owner, whether you're involved in Bitcoin or not, although, I know that's what the topic was, but we kind of ventured off a little bit, but I suppose it's just really good to know that there's a support out there that could actually tell you that you could get some funds back.
Yeah.
And the first port of call is your accountant.
Yes.
But for example, yourself, what is it?
Woodshires.
Woodshires.
Yeah,
.co.uk is a great place to stop off at, to try and get some of that information, and actually to do it as soon as possible, so that whether you're starting, whether you're well established, to start building the process to get that, because there's probably millions of money that hasn't been claimed.
Oh yeah, 95% of all UK companies should be claiming.
Well, that's just ridiculous, isn't
It's
it?
grossly underclaimed. It's absolutely insane. Yeah.
So it's definitely worth a bit of research in that.
It's worth knowing when you're going into something new. So if you're going to start up a new company and you know that what you want to do and you're creating something unique, it's worth thinking about it at that point. So you know that in your first year you're going to get the maximum back from the HMRC.
Yeah.
So you're getting rewarded basically for the time that you put in.
Yeah. And for you, John, it might be a case of having a conversation with Stuart, because it certainly sounds like you've got a really unique idea that for some reason you think just needs to stay in here. I think a bit more thinking and manifesting that idea.
I need to go out and communicate with people, which is, I suppose, is a good start.
You know, this is the type of thing, it starts
It's
here.
been in my head or evolving in my head for the last 3 or 4 years. Here I am now. So.
Yeah, you need some nerves that can take what's going on in there into actually something.
That's it.
It is. Make it real.
Any coders out there?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Lovely. Thank you so much for your time. God bless you.
Welcome.
Cheers.
Thank you.